What's the pop culture you're growing up with? What are you watching on TV, for example, that's influencing you? What's hitting you? What's tugging at your strings?
Oh wow! The show I became obsessed with was L.A. Law, and the reason why is, again, going back to my dad. My dad had three sons, and he wanted a lawyer, a doctor, and an engineer.
Mm-hmm.
And I started to get this acting bug when I was younger. But Blair Underwood played this very snazzy lawyer.
Sure, I remember that.
In L.A. Law. And unbeknownst to me, the conflation of the two things was why I was so gravitated towards that show, because I was like, gosh, I just love TV. I love films. I love the whole idea of storytelling, but my dad wants me to be a lawyer, and that guy is both, and so I went as far as applying to law school, the whole thing. But
because of Blair Underwood.
Because of Blair Underwood. I have told him since, and he's horrified.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was one of the more influential shows on me.
I was flipping through just notes on you, and then I saw that you were a Happy Days fan. And I thought, Happy Days.
Yeah.
Were you watching Happy Days when you were in Nigeria? Obviously these are reruns because you're way too young. But was that because that's a show that was on primetime television when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And it was hugely influential. But I'm trying to think of you seeing it. What kind of why is that show grabbing you?
It was the Fonz. It was all about the Fonz. It was all about Henry Winkler and how cool he was, and the comb through the hair, the whole thing. But it was also a very traumatic thing for me because I had a little afro, and every time I took the comb into my afro, it wouldn't go through like it did for him. And many years later, because obviously he was in this with Ron Howard, and Bryce Dallas Howard is a good friend of mine. I was at her wedding. I met Henry Winkler. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm meeting the Fonz. And I said, it was so hard for me because I would always try to imitate the comb going through my hair. And he went, I only ever hold it up. I never put it through my hair.
He never does put it through.
And I went, oh my gosh, all of that pain, and you never actually ran the comb through your hair.
It's true. He starts and then he realizes it's perfect.
And he goes, hey, in front of the mirror. And I was like, that would have been so much more achievable for me. So, I got that all wrong.
I think one of the first celebrities I saw when I came to LA in '85 was I was at some event that I shouldn't have been at because I was, just starting out. But I'm coming out of some hotel, and there's a bunch of people coming out, and it's raining out really hard, and I see Henry Winkler. They bring up like a station wagon, and Henry Winkler. It's been raining really hard, and for some reason some of the water got on the seats, and he got a towel and just started mopping up the water, and he looked all disheveled.
Oh my God.
And I'm seeing my childhood hero, the Fonz.
Man.
And he's this schlub. He's this wet guy who's like, I gotta get these seats clean so my wife can sit there. And he's like, I think I got it all.
Oh,
okay. And I thought, what happened?
Oh,
this is LA?
Yeah, I'll take my trauma over that. I would not have recovered. That's a terrible story. How dare you tell me that?
I'm sorry. But you went to not a military academy, but you were educated.
Similar. It might as
similar
well
military academy. In what way? Did you have to wear a uniform when you were?
Had to wear a uniform. It was very, very regimented. It was a boarding school in Nigeria, incredibly strict. And when I talk about it, especially in a Western context, because you will get lashed if you did naughty things, and I was a very naughty boy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was pretty intense. But I was the kid who, I remember for a dare, I this is so stupid. For a dare, I went in to steal something out of the headmaster's fridge. And I got into his house, and I'll never forget the silhouette of this guy in the door looking at me I'm in his fridge. I didn't want anything out of his fridge. I just did it for,
right,
browning points. But it was, and he had one of those voices, those people who you can barely hear what they're actually saying because they're talking like this. And I was just like, and so all I heard, And it's all I heard. But I spent the next term washing toilets. And and our uniforms were white, which is not the best uniform for doing that job.
The closest I have to anything like that was I was very happy my parents sent me away to a camp, and then for some reason they switched me to another camp the next year, and I got there and they issued me it's summer camp. You're supposed to run around in like this previous summer I've been running around in torn cut off shorts and whatever, just sneakers and no socks and wearing a beat up, sun hat, whatever, a t-shirt. And then I got sent to this other camp and they issued me a uniform. And it had a stripe down the side. And I remember thinking, like, what the hell is this?
Right.
But that's the closest I ever came to feeling like I was in the military.
Right.
Was wearing...
It shows.
Thank you. I went to a camp where it was like a camp in every other way, except there was a stripe down the side of the pants.
Right.
And yet, when you're telling your story, I'm like, I've been there, man. I remember roasting a marshmallow.
Wow.
And there was a stripe down my pants. So don't complain to me about your military academy.
It's hard. It's hard having a stripe down your pants. I get it.